That's brilliant. Again, thanks for attending today's webinar on automating LRT. With me I have Kira Betty, who is our FME certified trainer and professional, and myself, Garrett. I am the local government account manager here at IMGS. I just want to give my computer wants to go to the next slide for me. A quick overview of the agenda for today. I want to give a brief overview of who we are and our customers, for those of you who don't know. An overview of the technology we'll be using today. The system we built. Kira will then show the FME, how FME is configured in the background. Then we'll have a Q&A session, so don't be shy to ask questions. Any questions we can't answer, we'll come back to the group afterwards via email. And then finally, I just want to announce next month's webinar. So IMGS and our customers. So for those of you who don't know, we've been providing custom spatial solutions for our customers for over 14 years, using both our partners' technology and developing our own, like Location Publisher and Location Publisher Mobile, which most of you will know. Our partners are Hexagon Geospatial, Hexagon Safety and Infrastructure, Save Software, which we're a gold partner and the reason we're all here today at the webinar, and we also work with Leica. Some of our customers are, we work with every local authority in Ireland, and we also work with most of the utilities like ESB Networks, ESB Northern Ireland, and then Cyro, which is the new joint venture between ESB and Vodafone to bring fibre broadband to the home. We also work with government agencies like the LGMA, OSI, and the Navy. So the technology we're using today is Hexagon's consumer portal for the subscription side of it, and then FME Server in the background for the alerting side. To show the subscription process, we'll be using Hexagon's consumer portal, and we'll be using the example today as planning data. This is a prototype site which we built for DCC. The kind of remit from DCC was they wanted software that the public could come into and subscribe to planning alerts in their area, no matter what the device was. So we used Consumer Portal for that. The reason why it was very, very easy for us to enable for public use, and it works using a consistent experience, no matter what the device and the OS is. For those of you who don't know FME, which is the alert side of it, it comes in 3 different flavors, which is FME Desktop and FME Cloud. Today we'll be focusing on FME Server. As we all know, FME Server covers quite a lot, but the two areas we play are two features, which is the scheduling service and the notification service, which is highlighted in red at the bottom. So I'm going to give a quick demonstration of the consumer portal and how it works. Now naturally FME will work with any web-based GIS, and we are using planning as an example, but this could be flooding alerts, it could be major roadwork alerts, or it could be simply just to distribute information to relevant parties within the organization or your organization. Minimize this. Okay, and I'll just refresh this here. So this is the consumer portal just launching. So over here we have some quick search areas, and then we have a search functionality here. So this could be a search via air code, planning application number, or a simple address or an area. So I'm going to use Kimmage for this example. If I spelled it right, would be great. So here we go. We have some point data just showing up on the map, and as I zoom in, it will refresh for more details. So let's just select this particular point here. Now I can subscribe, or the citizen can subscribe to a particular planning data or a particular planning record here. So I want to register. I want to select 100 meters, so I want to know all updates of any planning actions or locations within that green circle. And I simply just put in, but I'm going to use Kira's email address for the demo. Hit register now, and then just to stop spamming, I'm not a robot, and then submit. And that's the subscription done. I hope this helps visualize the subscription registration part of the of the alerting functionality. I'm going to hand over to Kira now, who will show you how FME works now in the background.
Thanks, Gareth. So what Gareth has just shown you, that's the front end of the consumer portal. And I'm going to demo to you then how we integrate the FME server process into this request that he has just made by signing up to receive those notifications. So we're going to be focusing on the notification service, as this is the way that we push data to and from server in the form of short messages. So a notification with FME is really an alert, so it informs someone or something of a particular event that has happened. And this is why server notification service is perfect for us in this example of the consumer planning portal. So end users, they're subscribing to events that happen within a particular area. So I'm going to show you both incoming and outgoing notifications. Incoming notifications, they alert FME server to events that has taken place. So in this example, incoming email for those users who just registered to the consumer portal interface. The details of which are then sent to FME server. And then we create outgoing notifications to alert users to an event that has taken place on FME server through the receiving application. So it sounds quite complicated, but what I'm going to demo to you is a two-step process. So step one, watch an email account for incoming email. We're going to process the content through a subscribed workspace and push the data into a database table. And then step two, we're going to schedule a workspace to run once a day. And what that workspace is going to do is create the content of an email, and we are going to use the FME service notification to send that email out to all those people who registered through the. So that's the process. I'm just going to switch over to my machine so I can show you the actual demo. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now, which shows you the FME Server 2016.1 interface. So if you have FME Server, you might be familiar with this, and what we are going to really focus on, and Gareth had pointed out, is the manage notifications and manage schedules. So if we jump into manage notifications to start with, we have three different aspects that we are going to look at. So publications, subscriptions, and topics. So I think this can confuse people in the beginning, but I often find it useful to look at this little icon that Safa put in here. So we've got publications, subscriptions, and that's the flow of data. You have your publications that receive incoming notifications from the client, and in our case this is an email address, the content of which is passed through a topic. So this acts as a mediator for messages to and from server and triggers notifications to occur within server. And then we have the subscriptions to send out content from server, which in our case again is we're going to send out emails to the end user. So if we start with the topic, the thing we did, we created a topic, and there's a whole range of topics that are predefined, or you can create a brand new topic just by selecting new. So one I have for this example is monitoring email topic. So you just give it a name, and it's good to also give it a description so you can remember what the topic was used for. So in this case, this topic is used for passing content from the email address Irish Mapping and GIS Solutions. When registrations are made through the consumer portal, an email is sent to this address detailing the end user's area of interest and also their email address. So this is the information we want to get from those end users. What we have then done is create a publication. So remember, this is where we have FME Server receiving incoming notifications. So the notification we set, we've got this monitor email portal. And you can see we've published it to a topic that we've just created, monitoring email topic, and we've set the protocol. So there's various different ways you can receive information into server. The one we're just focusing on today is through email, but some other popular ones are the directory watchers. So you can set FME Server to watch a particular directory and pick up any changes within that. There's FTP watchers, your Amazon, Dropbox, and so on. But what we're looking at is an email. So that email address, Irish Mapping and GIS Solutions, I have asked FME Server to watch this email address. We've put in some of the security password and so on. And the important bit here is we've asked Server to poll that email address every minute and to fetch new emails. Now you can go a bit more advanced and you can say only fetch emails that have a particular subject, so maybe only those that contain planning and so on. But in this case, we're going to fetch any new emails that arrive to Irish Mapping and GIS Solutions. And then we have the download attachments part. So we are going to download those attachments to the temporary folder. So if we just look into our resources here and look at that temporary folder that I just specified, that process where Gareth has just signed up to receive notifications, FME Server was watching that email, so we should then, if we scroll down to the end here, 6 minutes past 3, FME Server went and got that email, and it's a JSON file, and if we look at it, you can see this detail. So he assigned myself up, so cbetty at IMGS, there's the time, 100-meter buffer around the area, and that was the address, 16 Kimmage Grove, and then there's just an X and a Y point. So this is the content. You can see how now FME Server has the information from the consumer portal for the registration. And what happens after that is if we look at a job that is just run, 1506, you can see that a workspace was run as a result of that information arriving in Server. So if we go and look at the workspace itself, and I'll explain it to you in a minute, but if we go and say publish to Server, so this workspace was created to deal with that incoming email content. We published it to Server, so we set it into our webinar portal, we gave it a name, and service, so the notification service. And you can see here it says subscribe to topics, so monitoring email topic. So you should remember that I had, in fact, and if we go back to our notifications, look at our topics, that was the monitoring email topic that I created at the start. I had also assigned it to the publication, so when an email comes in, you can see the monitoring email topic is published, and that information is then sent into this workspace because this workspace is subscribed to that topic. So that's how that data gets passed into the workspace here. So if you zoom in, feature, and then it's reading in the email content. So we pass that into the workspace. The attribute file reader then reads the file source file. So this here, the publisher _ attachment, we're pushing all that data into an attribute called file content. And then using the JSON flattener, we're able to extract those attributes out of that attachment. So the address, buffer meters, lat long, date logged, and particularly the user email. So that's the important part. We're able to process the data, and what we want to do is pass it through our workspace. We're just setting a coordinate system, creating a point out of that lat long, and then writing it out to a SQL table. So what we've taken now is the data from the registration at the consumer portal, and we put it into a registration table in our database, so we know which users are interested in planning applications of a particular area, the buffer around that particular area, and that's going to give us further detail to send the email out to those end users. So that's step 1 complete. Step 2 then is a separate process. So if I open up a separate workspace here and just zoom in again, you'll see what I'm reading here is another table in my database. So my database has done a bit of work for me, and I'm reading actually a view that assesses the planning records table, so any new planning applications that came in that day or any changes, and the registration table I've just created in the previous workspace. And I'm getting in this view a list of new planning applications against those who registered to receive a notification. So some of the work here is done for me. I get a nice table that gives me one record for every area of interest. So we've got the user email, the address that they are interested in, plus the new planning application location applicant. So it allows me to generate an email that I want to distribute out to the end users. So the theory here is we're going to schedule this workspace once a day. You know, you could set it to be once a week, once a month, once an hour. to let people know that there's been a change of circumstances within the areas that they had registered to. So we're going to schedule this workspace. So what it needs to do is read all those records. We are going to push them into the statistics calculator, and we're going to group by user email, because we want to get a count of changes that happened for that user within the last 24 hours. So we don't want to send them one email for every change. We want one email in total that lists all of the changes. So we get a total count, HTML report generator, and that will allow us really easily to create HTML content for my email. So I can create quite a pretty email to send out to my end users using this HTML report generator. So I've got my page contents on the side, and I've all these different options about charts and headers and images, lists. But what I'm just going to use is the header, which is text, and most importantly a table. So I can create a list of all the planning changes. So my header is going to say something like this: a total value, or a total of total count, which is just the FME attributes that I created in the statistics calculator, total count of planning applications have been submitted in your area of interest at value address. So it gives you the name of the area you subscribed to. So particularly if you have subscribed to more than one area, this will define to you which this is relevant to. Then the table is probably the most important. You'll see we've built a HTML table with some content. So you've got a planning reference, the applicant, location, proposal, and details. So this is all going to be pushed into the table, and you're going to see something like this. This is just a preview to give you an idea of what the email is going to look like. So I've built my table, and what I do now is then I use the FME Server email generator to configure the email that I'm going to send out. So it's going to come from Irish Mapping and GIS Solutions. We're going to send one email to every user that has signed up. The subject is going to be planning application notification, and here's what they're going to see. There's been a new planning application in the area subscribed to. The content is coming from the HTML report generator, so that's the table I've just created, and then we've just hard-coded to search for planning applications. Please click on the link below, so they can do further searches if they wish. We then bring in FME Server at this point, so we use the FME Server notifier. If I click next, you'll see that I have registered to a topic called DCC send email, and what I'm going to push into that topic is the text. So this is the email information that's coming from the FME Server email generator. So if I go back to my server and we go back in and look at that topic, remember I have DCC send email. So topic has been created to trigger email to be sent by DCC notification. So this is the information that's going to be passed to the topic, and I want to send that content out to my end users. So I'm going to create a subscription to allow that information to be dispersed to all the end users who subscribed. And of course, in our case, it's going to be send an email. So this guy here, you can see DCC send email. The subscription is email send subscription. So the information is going to be passed into this subscription, which is email. And just like with the publications, you have various different ways of sending information out of server, Dropbox, Amazon, upload it to FTP, and so on. So we've got the same email address, Irish Mapping and GIS Solutions, the same configuration information, and all this information here, the email to, the email subject, email format, email template, that's all going to come from the FME Server email generator. So the way I have configured it to look in the server email generator, it's going to be passed to the server notifier and then pushed into my subscription. So though it looks blank here, and that can be confusing to people, it actually gets populated from the FME Server notifier, and it's going to generate an email for each end user. So if I just cancel that, as I was saying, for that workspace, we have planned to schedule it. So that workspace is going to run every day and then send the information out to all the end users who subscribed through the consumer portal. And it's so simple to schedule workspaces through server. But down the bottom here, email consumer portal users, you can see I already have a schedule set up. All I needed to do was select the repository. So this is the holder of my particular workspace. Mine is called Webinar Portal. Select the workspace I want to run. So this is the workspace that sends out the planning updates. That's my connection to my database because it's reading information from the database. And then I just schedule it. So it started this morning, the 26th of July, and at 9 o'clock. So I've asked it to be repeated every day. So every day this email is going to be sent out to all the end users. And what they are going to get sometime just after 9 o'clock is an email like so. So you remember we built this up through both the HTML report generator with the table and also the email generator. So there has been a new planning application in the area you subscribed to. A total of 16 planning applications have been submitted in your area of interest, listing their area of interest. Please review the following associated information. So they get a list of their 16 changes, and they can review the planning reference, applicant, location, proposal, and then a link out to the further information that they can get from the planning application details. So if you want to get further information on the location, decisions, and what the changes were, you can grab them from the planning application. So you'll see really that is quite an easy way to set up how you can send both notifications and alerts out to end users. So we've created an end-to-end process from where Gareth within the consumer portal set up to receive information, and then FME Server monitored the incoming email notifications and processes them, and a subsequent workspace is scheduled to then alert end users of emails. So I think it demonstrates the power of Server to create a subscription and notification service for both users throughout your organization or the general public. And really what we have done is incorporated planning information, but as Gareth said, this can work, and the workspaces I have shown here, they're applicable across various data sets. So flooding, weather, roadworks, utility outages, so on. Whatever you have an interest in, really reporting data back to people, it can be done through Server. So I hope that gives you a bit of an insight into the back-end configuration, and I'm going to hand you back to Gareth for any questions.
Thanks, Kira. That was brilliant. Yeah, guys, I guess the floor is open. Don't be shy. So if you have any questions, just put them in the comment section, and we'll do our best to answer them. As I mentioned at the start, if there's anything that we can't answer, we'll go off and find the answer for you and come back to the group. Everyone there straight away. Kira, can you do this with FME Desktop?
Yes and no really is the answer. You can do parts of it. Step one, where we showed that you are monitoring the email and then pulling that information down into Server and sending it to a workspace. We can't set up desktop to monitor an email address in that fashion. But the second part, where we have set up Server to send out emails, if you have 2016.1, you can swap over this process to use the emailer instead of the FME Server emailer. So it's a new transformer called the emailer, and that will then allow you to read information from your database and send out emails based on that information. But in terms of scheduling the way we had done it, making life really easy for ourselves, you can't do that scheduler through that one interface and have the monitoring of the emails the way, kind of a yes scenario.
Brilliant, thanks, Kira. And there's a couple of questions, actually 3 questions coming around the consumer portal. I was just using the consumer portal just to show the subscription piece and kind of put the whole webinar together. And so what I'll do is, for those 3 that I've asked around the consumer portal, I'll touch base with you after this. I'd rather kind of keep it focused on FME. If anybody has any other FME questions, it would be great.
I must have explained it extremely well.
Oh, brilliant. I didn't want to say that, but it was quite clear to me. Now everybody's gone quiet.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you can always contact us if you do want any further detail on Server and notifications and how you can go about doing that with Server. We are always available. So.
Absolutely, yeah, as Kira mentioned there, yeah, we're only just a phone call or an email away if you do have any questions. Just wanted to highlight quickly just upcoming webinars. We're planning to use or do a webinar on using FME Cloud, which we are going to put up some of the most used What is it? Most
really, the workspaces that people request most often. So the most requested transformations. We're going to upload some of these to cloud and then show you how you as consumers, particularly if you don't have FME Server, how you could use FME Cloud to come in and access these and run these workspaces off our FME Cloud. So it's kind of giving you access to server if you don't have it, and we'll just show you some of the most common transformations that were requested.
Brilliant, lovely. And our latest blog is also up on our website, www.imgs.ie, and it's FME Transformers, again written by Kira, 5 unsung heroes, which is quite good. And then finally, guys, if you do want to contact us, or if you want any more information about the topics that we covered today, it's myself, Gareth Cronin. My email address is just there, which is gcronin@imgs.ie, or you can call me directly on my landline or my mobile. I'll follow up with a couple of questions that have come through here separately. And that's it, guys. Really, really appreciate your attendance. Hopefully we'll see you next month.
Thanks.
See you now. Bye, everyone.